Oh, man. It's so good to be back.
I'm so happy you're back. I can't believe that you've been gone an entire week in Japan. That's so crazy.
I know, right? But I'm really happy that you got this hotel room so we could get away from the kids for a little while.
I know. I thought it would be a really fun treat for us to treat ourselves to a night alone.
Yeah, so you want to get some boning in, huh?
I guess, but I wouldn't put it that way.
You want to do the wild mumbo, huh?
Okay, that's definitely worse.
Do the old hunka chunka.
Okay, you've completely turned me off. What are you doing?
I thought you liked Sylvester Stallone. I thought you liked the Rocky movies.
I like the first one, but I don't. That's not in the movie, is it?
No, it's from Demolition Man.
I don't know this Demonstration Man. What are you talking about?
It's a movie based on Brave New World. Takes place in the future. Sylvester Stallone. There was a Taco Bell tie-in. You really don't remember this?
I've never seen Demonstration Man.
You haven't seen it?
You haven't seen it.
No way. You're out of order.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Fasten your seatbelts.
You're tearing me apart.
Houston, we have a problem.
What we've got here is failure.
Conceivable. God damn you all to hell!
Hello and welcome to
You haven't seen it?
The podcast where I forced my wife to watch movies she doesn't care to see. I'm your host, Joey.
And I'm Erin, the wife that doesn't want to see these movies. So Joey, what movie are we going to be talking about today?
Today we are going to be talking about the 1993 sci-fi action movie Demolition Man, starring Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes.
Who's Wesley Snipes?
Wesley Snipes is the black guy. Simon Phoenix. You don't remember who the main guy is?
Okay. The villain, the protagonist.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were talking about I feel like usually main characters or build characters are usually not villains. And so I was confused.
Oh, okay. So there's not a lot of black people in this movie. So.
I'm sorry. Very sorry about that. I was just focused on protagonist. Honestly, was this one of well, I guess we'll talk about it later.
What? Go ahead.
Was Sandra Bullock wasn't named in this? Was this one of her first?
Oh, yeah. This was pretty early in her career. I was looking at the poster when I said that, and the poster says Stallone, Snipes, Demolition Man on it. So I didn't mention her, but yes, she is a main character in the movie.
Yeah.
Who else? There's some there. Let's see. Man, you really threw me off.
I'm sorry.
We've been having trouble getting on the same page today. You guys didn't get to see that behind the scenes of us trying to get this recording started.
Oh my God.
It was pretty bad. But there's some other people in it. There's Rob Schneider's in it. It looked like a lot of his role got cut. What is it? Benjamin Bratt? No, not Benjamin Button. Yeah. But there's a few actors in this movie.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, Dennis Leary's in it. Famous comedian Dennis Leary.
Okay.
Erin, I want to ask you, did you know anything about this movie before we watched it?
I had no clue about this movie. No idea what it was going to be about. Definitely not what I thought it was going to be.
Right. Did you know anybody who was in it? You know Sylvester Stallone.
I know
right?
Sylvester Stallone and I know Sandra Bullock. Also, the other cop guy that was her friend, they were in Miss Congeniality together.
Yes, that's right. They were in Miss Congeniality together.
I don't know his name, but I know that they were love interests.
I want to say his name is Benjamin Bratt. But yeah, he's in that. He's been in a lot of stuff. A movie that he was in that I really like is called Blood In, Blood Out. It's a gang movie that takes place in L.A. It's quite epic. Not a lot of people have seen it, but it's a fun watch.
So whenever actually you told me that we were going to watch Demolition Man, I thought it was going to be something about construction, like a construction worker movie or something.
Yeah, it really it does sound like that, but also they really on this time around I noticed that they really shoehorned in the whole demolition thing. Like there's a beginning scene where after they catch Wesley Snipes, one of the officers is like, "Well, at least you didn't blow the place up this time."
Doesn't it explode later?
Yeah. No, the opening mall doesn't explode.
Oh.
But I think it catches fire.
It's all like on fire, yeah.
Yeah, we watched this movie like a full week ago. So
yeah.
this movie was based on, like, loosely based on a book called Brave New World. Have you ever read that book?
I have not read that book.
Yeah,
I don't read a lot of books either.
I've never read Brave New World, but the whole idea of it is like, what if we could create a society where everything was polite and nice and everybody was controlled? That way there wouldn't be, people with hurt feelings.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, but I think the movie has a really hard time conveying that, because all you get from when you watch this movie is sort of this, like, oh, look at this polite society, and then Stallone's going to show up and tell everybody how dumb they are.
Well, I kind of got it as like, I thought they did pretty good at like showing like this is like a perfect society. Everyone's nice to each other and everything's perfect and rainbow and sunshine. But I mean, I understood that part.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, like, the like the book Brave New World is a social commentary about, if the world becomes too PC, this is what's going to happen.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But whereas this movie, it just seems like they're just saying, in the future, everybody's sissies, and then Stallone and Snipes show up, and everybody's like clutching their pearls. It doesn't feel like it's saying anything at all. It doesn't feel like it has a message behind it, or like a...
There's definitely not a message that I'm seeing behind it. But like, I did feel like it was like, everything now is super nice and perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what I think. And I think they just really balked on like having a social commentary behind it.
Oh, okay.
Is what I'm trying to say.
Do you think they were trying to, though?
Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I'm sure whoever originally wrote it, because it's saying it's got 3 credited writers on the screenplay, so the message might have gotten lost. I mean, you're not supposed to put messages in movies anyway. Mm-hmm. You're just supposed to write a movie and let people take away what they want from it, or at least that's my philosophy on filmmaking. I'm sure Oliver Stone feels a lot different. So, do you have any other abstract thoughts? Anything in the movie that really jumped out at you?
I loved that this was set in 1993 or 6 or something like that.
The opening starts in 1996.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, so this was in their future.
Right.
But did they really think that they would be able to freeze people in 10 years?
In 10 years? Well...
Because that's all that this movie is from. What year was this movie made?
It came out in 1993.
Okay, so 3 years later, they thought that they would be able to freeze people. I was like, that's a little weird. Like, if they would have put it further in the future, like maybe like 2020, we're freezing people.
Yeah, I don't think the screenwriters were sitting down and thinking, like, 3 years from now, I bet you they're going to freeze prisoners so that they can't. Prisons will be nice and quiet and there'll be no troubles.
Yeah, but I think it was just kind of odd that it was so close to their timeline.
Yeah, it's also crazy that you're watching the movie in 1993 and it's saying that in 1996 in LA, it's gotten so bad that the city is just constantly on fire.
Yeah.
Which is what you think, right? Because the Hollywood sign is burning.
Yeah.
And then, it's just...
Their idea of the future in 3 years was so crazy. Because, like, when I think about the future, like, okay, we're in 2023 right now. If I think 3 years in the future, do I think that we're going to have the buildings in Houston are going to be constantly on fire? Or do I believe that we'll be able to freeze people? No, absolutely not. Now, I think maybe 10, 20 years in the future, maybe that'll start being something that people are thinking about.
People?
Yeah.
I don't think I think we're many years away from that. I don't think.
Oh no, yeah. I'm just saying, but like to me, like okay.
Plus, is it ethical? Is it ethical? At all?
But that's not. We're not talking about ethics, Joey. We're talking about.
We're always.
Is it plausible to freeze someone in 10 years and let their body thaw and then come back to life?
I'm saying that I think it's possible. It's just not ethical. We're always talking ethics on this podcast. You may think this is a movie podcast. We're talking ethics.
Okay. Well, even if it's not ethical, I don't think 3 years in the future, like I don't think in 2026 we're going to be freezing people. That doesn't make sense to me. However, 2062 maybe Trump will be president again and he'll be on life support systems and we'll be freezing prisoners. God, please, God, no.
In private prisons.
Oh, yeah, he can be in prison there. I don't want him to come back. Just kill him.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say when you're like 3 years from now. I was like, I'm just worried that Trump's going to be president again in 3 years. Yeah, but that's one thing I noticed. Like, I really love this movie. I've seen it a bunch, but I've never really paid close attention to it because the walls of it fall down so quickly if you put any thought. Like, this is a neck down movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do not use your head when you're watching this. It will ruin the experience.
Yeah. Also, not only does is it 3 years that they jump forward and they're like all of a sudden freezing people, but it also then jumps to 2032, which is only 9 years away from us.
Yeah, no.
And to think about like it being like this utopia?
Yeah, utopia.
Yeah, utopian society all of a sudden sounds very crazy to me.
Oh yeah, it really does. But a lot has happened in that 30 years. Like they mentioned the big one, which is a giant earthquake that like really destroyed stuff.
Wondering, was there an earthquake that year that they said there was?
2010? There was probably an earthquake, but it definitely wasn't. Like wildfires have been much worse for Southern California.
Yeah.
So they kind of got that wrong. But this movie, it's not one that you want to use your head. Like another thing was they renamed Los Angeles San Angelo.
Yeah.
And is this utopia just confined to LA?
I think so.
Is it like Springfield, like how Springfield is in The Simpsons, where like Springfield is its own universe? San Angelo here is just its own universe? Do you think they built a wall around it?
Oh, maybe. Maybe so people couldn't get in.
Yeah, maybe.
But they also have all these underground tunnels that people can go through. So.
Oh, yeah. The people who live underground. Jack Black and Dennis Leary. So is that it? Anything else jump up out to you? Like something you want to talk about before we get into it? Did you think anything about police brutality?
I did, yeah. Definitely whenever we were watching this, and then the police were like, oh, we can't hit people, or we can't, like, whenever the police officer goes up to Phoenix, and he's at that, like, it looks like a telephone booth, where it's, like, information or stuff like that, and it was
like a confidence booth, where if you're having a bad day.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. I loved that. I want one of those.
Yeah.
But whenever the police came up, they were like, okay, the person is in front of us. What should I do? Ask in a firm tone to put their weapons away. And then so he goes, okay. And he gets himself ready. And then he goes, sir, please put your weapon away. And he goes, what, motherfucker? And then he goes, you've been fined 1 credit. Yeah.
Oh, that beepy curse thing is throughout the movie.
I loved that. And I love that they kept it through the whole entire thing and they didn't stop it.
They completely 100% committed to the cursing ticket thing on the wall. But yeah, I wanted to talk about the whole like police, the way they're handling this. Like you're supposed to be like, look how incompetent they are and all that. And then I'm watching it and I'm thinking like, why can't police be like this now?
Incompetent? Yeah.
No, yeah.
But like, just not aggressive.
No, this isn't incompetent. They're just good.
Yeah.
They're doing their job and not just killing
Trying to
people.
de-escalate situations.
Yeah, de-escalate situations and just make sure things are running properly, you know, and instead of just accosting people for no reason and shooting at people just because they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good message.
Yeah, it really...
Not taken away from this movie. They did not... They ended up at the end being like, police brutality is okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It was like, this movie, and this time, and this was like right after Rodney King, too.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like... You're saying like, oh, these police are sissies and we need Stallone to show up and tell them how to like...
to rough them up.
To rough them up, just so that you'll tell them where somebody is hiding some marijuana or something stupid like that. Yeah, there's a lot of things in this movie that kind of made me think about stuff like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you want to get into the movie now?
Sure.
Okay, so we've already talked about it, but there's a hostage situation, and they're flying Stallone in on a helicopter, and we see the Hollywood sign burning, and
then we see this helicopter in the air, and Stallone goes, "If you need to catch a maniac, you got to send a maniac." And I was like, "You just called yourself a maniac?"
Send a maniac to catch one, or something like that. Yeah, and then one of the pilots was in Die Hard, I think. For you Die Hard heads out there. He played one of the FBI agents. So apparently, Wesley Snipes, who is Phoenix... Well, damn, what was his name? Simon Phoenix.
Simon Phoenix,
right?
yeah.
He's a crazy criminal guy, and he kidnaps a busload of hostages, and he's keeping them in the building. And Stallone goes in there to get him. And it's 1993, so how is Sylvester Stallone going to exit that helicopter? None other than bungee jumping.
Yes, I loved that they bungee jumped off. But
there are so many movies from the 90s where they just somehow shoehorn in bungee jumping, you know?
Yeah. I don't know, but yes.
It's at the end of Waterworld. Remember when you watch Waterworld?
Oh, yeah. They bungee jump from the balloon.
Yeah. There's plenty of other movies that have it too. Bungee jumping was popular back then. So then he runs into the building. I love the way, like, he's just running and gunning. He never takes cover. He's just running and shooting people.
There was something that I put in my notes, but I can't find it. But just the way Simon Phoenix laughs in the beginning, I don't remember what I put. He, but I don't remember how he does it. I don't know if it's like he, or so, I don't know. But like he goes he space he, and I just thought it was a funny laugh.
Oh, okay.
And I was trying to find a video of it, but I couldn't find one. My bad.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes is he's a very animated, like very energetic actor, and he likes to improvise a lot. So he might have just made that. Well, I know he did. He was supposed to laugh in the script, but he's like, I'm going to do this crazy kind of laugh.
Yeah, but it wasn't crazy. It was just like goofy, and I liked it.
Yeah, goofy, whatever. I can't remember what it sounded like either.
Oh, so he stabs these like gas tanks, and then the fuel starts pouring out everywhere, and then I don't know what. This whole scene actually kind of like was weird to me. I couldn't keep track of it. It was very hard for me to be like, wait, what just happened?
Well, yeah,
it was really fast.
The spatial elements of it aren't very good. Like, you don't really understand where they are in the building. Whatever. Sylvester Stallone just sort of runs in there and he sort of happens upon Simon Phoenix, and Simon Phoenix is just like waiting there with all those gas tanks.
He's running through, and he's like starts killing all these people.
Yeah, he's just running
with
and
his
running.
henchmen. Yeah. But then he gets up there, and then I don't know what happens, but I think Phoenix lights a cigarette and throws it in the gas that Stallone is standing in.
There was a whole bunch of stuff, because he had like a blowtorch at one point. And then he lights a cigar. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It was real overkill on that.
Yeah, but it was just like so fast that I'm like, wait, I don't know how it all happened, but it happened. I know it happened. I just don't know how it happened.
Yeah, that really feels like they're trying to rush the opening of this movie, and it's like, oh, these two people, they have backstory. They're both crazy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't get crazy from him though. He didn't. Sylvester Stallone. No, I'm not saying that you're like. I'm saying like they could have played him a little crazier, like a crazier cop, because in the beginning, after he does all this and he leaves, he's like, I don't know where the bus riders were.
Yeah, I didn't mean crazy like the Joker. I mean like he's very what's the word? Very cavalier as a police officer. Like he'll just run into gunfire.
Yeah.
And he's not very careful. He'll blow up a building. He's called the Demolition Man.
Yeah.
I don't mean like crazy, like he's insane.
No, I know. But I'm saying I didn't get that from him. Like he seemed like he was just like, I need to save these passengers. Which I mean, yes, he wasn't doing it super carefully, but he wasn't like insanely like he didn't seem manic at all. He's like he had a mission and he had a purpose and he was going to fulfill that purpose no matter what. No matter what obstacles got in his way, he was going to save those passengers.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
But
he does it in a very like you're not supposed to just go bungee jump in a building and go run around like shooting at the first person you see. That's very careless.
Yeah. Yes. But he gets out of the building though. And I think the part that I'm like just so confused on in this top part is when they leave and the police chief is like, what did you do? And he's like, the passengers, he killed them all or something like, I don't know what happened. But he was like, they were like, all of a sudden like, you're going to prison now. And I was like, wait, why?
Well, they, yeah, it is confusing. It's not well done. They were just rushing and they just gloss over it. But they get out of the building. Simon Phoenix is arrested and the building's burning. And they're like, were the hostages in there? And he's like, no, I did a thermal scan first. And then a firefighter comes out and he goes, there's bodies everywhere. And he's like, well, what happened? And then Phoenix is in handcuffs and he goes, I told him there were hostages in there. And he said he didn't care.
Oh, that makes more sense now.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear that line. I feel like that whole thing was so quickly gone through that I just got lost.
Yeah, I remember from like, I know what you mean. Like this, it's very confusing and it goes by quick. But since I was actually paying attention this time, I always forgot or didn't realize that the firefighter comes out and says that there's bodies everywhere.
I heard the.
But I didn't remember that. I'm saying I just remember Simon Phoenix coming out and saying, like, the people were in there and he said he didn't care. And I was like, wait, why would the police take a criminal? Why would they take his word for it? But they found bodies. So that must mean that Simon Phoenix hid the hostages in a way that wouldn't be picked up by the thermal imaging. Because Sylvester Stallone said he did a thermal scan and didn't see anything.
Also, though, like, what if I thought whenever he said that, I thought, oh, he dressed the passengers up like his gang members. And
he could have done that.
I think I said that whenever we were there, and you were like, I don't think I don't remember what you said.
Well, I mean, he could have. They don't,
because they start shooting at him, and I don't feel like passengers wouldn't have shot.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just confusing.
The thing is, they never bring it up again, ever.
Yeah.
It's never comes back. He's never exonerated in any way. This is just like, we have to accept it and just move on.
Mm-hmm.
But it did remind me, I think there was something like that in The Dark Knight, where Joker he dresses people up like his henchmen.
Where are they? Yeah.
Yeah, and then he just puts them in a window, I think.
I think so. I don't know.
I've only seen that movie like twice. But anyway, so now they're going to cryo jail.
Yes.
And we don't see Sylvester or we don't see Wesley Snipes get frozen, but we do see Sylvester Stallone.
Mm-hmm. But whenever I said none of this technology actually exists because it was in 1996. And so that was the first moment I was like, wait, what? Because I said none of this technology exists, but it does look cool. Like a lot of it looks really cool. The scenic element of this stuff was awesome.
Oh, yeah. I think they, the people who build the sets did a really great job. Even now on like a 4K television. Yeah, I'm going to brag now about our 4K television. But it still looked really good. I didn't see the seams at all. So then they go to put Sylvester Stallone in a little cylindrical piece of ice, and they're reading him
his rights.
Not his rights, his like what he's being convicted of.
Oh.
And he says like skip it.
Yeah. I think he has to do it.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry, buddy. This is part of the process. Yeah, and they put him in a piece of ice, and there's like a little stick with a blue orb that goes down in there, and then it just freezes all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of seeing Sylvester Stallone naked, huh?
I mean, you saw his butt a little bit, but that was about it. And it was like a side profile. It wasn't
you didn't like that?
It wasn't like all cheek.
If you were a young woman when this movie came out, would you go to the movies just to see his butt?
No. I'm not like that. Even like movies where there's like men's butts, I'm like, I don't want to see a man's butt. Men's butts are ugly. They're usually flat, somewhat hairy.
Yeah, I remember being...
I'm not a butt lady. I'm not a butt girl.
Okay. All right. That works out for me. But I've got a flat butt.
No ass Joey.
What was I thinking about? Oh,
it's okay because I got both.
I remember being like a young horny teenager, and then you found out like, Halle Berry shows her boobs in that one movie Swordfish, and you're like, yeah, I can't wait to see that. And you have to sit through this whole movie for like 2 seconds of a boob shot, and you're like, well, that wasn't worth it at all.
Yeah, I don't think that's a thing women do.
No, I definitely don't think that's a thing women do.
I think that's a boy thing. Yeah. So after they freeze them, then it jumps to the year 2032, which is 9 years from right now. But that is how many years from?
36 years from when he is frozen. And it starts off with Sandra Bullock. She is a officer by the name of Lenina Huxley. Mm-hmm. And she is driving around in her car.
Well, the car's driving her around.
Yeah, the car is driving her.
Which is something that we have now. We have self-driving cars.
Yeah, but they're not that good.
Well, yeah, but it's close. And so I was like, hey, they got something right. Ish.
Yeah, that's one of the things they did predict with that, with self-driving cars. So she calls the warden to see if there's been any issues down at the prison, and the warden's like, all our prisoners are frozen. What are you thinking about? I don't
remember that part.
Yeah, but
it must have been really short. Is she just walking by?
No, she calls from the car.
Oh.
To ask if there's anything going on in the cryo prison, and he's like, no, all the people are frozen. And then she gets to the police station where we meet the cast of all the
police officers.
Yes, all the quote unquote sissy cops who I would love to have on the force now. And Rob Schneider's there. I think he was in the middle of his SNL run.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay,
so
that makes sense.
Yeah. And he would later be in another Stallone movie, Judge Dredd. Did you ever see Judge Dredd?
I've not seen that.
Yeah. It's weird seeing him in these now. He was pretty popular on SNL, but it's kind of clear that he kind of got cut out of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's in the beginning a lot, and then later he's just gone. Mm-hmm. Nowhere to be seen. And then we meet also Benjamin Bratt, who's like her buddy.
Yeah. The guy that's like, oh, also another thing about her is that she's like obsessed with the 90s.
Yes. Or no, they keep saying that she's obsessed with the 20th, but everything they show is like just 90s stuff.
Yeah. The 20th century. It's only 90s things.
Yeah.
So like he comes up and he's like, what 90s thing are you into right now? Or something like that. And she keeps like saying like, "Oh, this is useful stuff. Like it's cool. It's interesting."
Yeah, the thing I remember is that she has a Lethal Weapon 2 poster on the wall, which just came out a few years before that movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he picks up a can off of her desk and opens it, and the spring-loaded snakes pop out of there.
Yes.
Aaron, would you be able to handle a joke like that?
Those they don't look like snakes.
But they act like snakes, right?
I would get scared because I'm very easily startled, but I have a phobia of snakes. But usually, like, if it doesn't actually look like a snake, like a real snake, I'm fine.
No.
Like rubber snakes scare me.
Yeah, I know.
Because they look real.
We were just at an art installation earlier today, and
oh my god,
there was a weird
life-sized, 3-dimensional,
3-headed
rattlesnake sculpture.
Yeah.
And Joey goes, "Don't look," and I go, "What?" And I'm like, "Huh!"
I was trying to move you away from it so you wouldn't get startled and knock something over.
I feel like when people say "Don't look," it's like, "Oh, let me look then."
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. That's pretty stupid of me. I should have been like, "Hey, look at this over here in the opposite direction." I'll remember that next time.
Yeah, so she's into all this 90s stuff, and then it jumps to the cryo prison where they're taking out.
Yeah, now they're
Phoenix.
Yeah,
so
he's up for parole,
which I don't know how he was up for parole sooner than Stallone.
Yeah, I don't know. That's weird.
Well, I know why now. Later on, I have a theory.
Right, I understand where you're going.
Yeah.
Okay,
but so they're like on parole with him, and it's like, everything's great, and then he somehow undoes the locks, and he's like, "How did you do the locks with no code?"
No, he says teddy bear, and the handcuffs on the table open.
Oh my gosh, I did not realize that. That's a great password.
Yeah, that's why I wrote it down. I was like, that's a really great password for this like utopian time. Like, oh, teddy bear. Yeah, and so he beats up the guard and he rips that one dude's eye out.
Yes, and he uses that to escape because it's like retinal scan. And I love that they like showed the eye going up to it like it was someone's eye, and then it zooms out and it's on a fork or something.
Yeah, it was on a pin, I think.
A pin, yeah.
Yeah. Our daughter was watching it with us, and she saw that part. She goes, "Daddy, is that real?" And I was like, "No, that is a plastic eyeball."
It's probably gummy.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I have to remind her
situation.
that movies aren't real. A gummy? You think it was a gummy?
No, not like a gummy. Like not like that you would eat, like a gummy plastic, like you were saying, like okay. Plastic, like but soft.
Okay, you know stuff about making props. I don't.
It was probably some type of like rubber or like silicone, so it's squishy and it looks like an eye.
Oh, okay.
But it's not hard because hard looks hard.
Right.
So you want something that looks a little squishy.
Yeah. There would have also been like connective tissue behind it.
I think there was connective tissue on the pin.
Oh, maybe there was.
It was a pretty good job.
Yeah, it looked pretty good.
Most of their stuff looked like really good, like props to props, and props to scenic. They were, even the costumes. Actually, like all of the tech in this was pretty good.
Right.
The atmospherics were nice. The lighting was great. So I thought tech wise it was a good movie.
The movie looks good. Like the costumes look good, the sets look good, the gadgets look good. Mm-hmm. Like there wasn't any like sometimes you watch a movie and you go, oh well, clearly that's an umbrella that they took the the thing off of or something. But in this, everything looks like they took time and they put a lot of detail into it, and I like it.
Me too.
And then there's an alert in the police station for a murder death kill.
Murder death kill. I love that it was all three all together.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like a murder or a death or a kill. All of them are equal.
Yeah, I really like how that sticks out in everybody's mind who knows this movie, murder death kill.
Yeah.
And they don't know what it is. The cops are like, what is that?
Yeah, because they don't have that happen. They do say something about like there was someone that died, but it was like of natural causes. The only time people die is because of natural causes.
Yeah, because you wouldn't need the police for that.
Yeah.
And I think the code was 187, which is the real life code for murder.
Oh, really?
I think, yeah.
But Phoenix also says it's not Phoenix. So there's like a good amount of time before they go to get Stallone, and the only reason they do is because Sandra Bullock's character is like, hey, we have to let what's his name out? We have to let the Demolition Man.
Demolition Man. What is his name in this movie? I can't remember all of a sudden.
Yeah, but they're like
John
Stallion. Spartan.
Some of the stuff on this is so on the nose, like Spartan, like famous warriors. And then Simon Phoenix. Phoenix is a bird that rises from the ashes and stuff like that.
So they are like, we gotta get Spartan out so that he can save us.
Yeah, but the first is when he escapes and he goes to the man, I wish I could remember the name of it because I had a name for it. The booth where the guy is, and he's like, the booth is giving him affirmations like, you're a great person.
You're a good person.
You inspire joy feelings.
joy. I love that.
Because the dialogue that the new age people use is great. Mm-hmm. And they don't shake hands either because
of germs.
Because of germs. It's really funny. I like the time they took to come up with all this stuff.
Yeah.
And
even all of the new, I guess the 30s people, they all spoke similar. So they had their own voices, but the dialogue was written in a way and they performed it in a great way to show that they were all kind of experiencing the same thing because everything's happy joy.
Yeah. And it makes you think, well, somebody must have worked to get everybody to speak the same and act the same. So it really builds out the world and you think oh, this just didn't happen overnight.
Oh, no, absolutely
right?
not.
So then he beats up all the cops because they don't know how to arrest a guy who's being so aggressive.
Yeah.
So he just beats them all up. And I like that right before, he says, I don't remember what he says, but they don't know how to react to him. And he goes, what, you guys don't have sarcasm anymore?
I have that note too. I was like, what, you guys don't have sarcasm? I loved that little line. And then also I put, we're police officers. We're not trained to handle this type of violence. And
that was one of Rob Schneider's lines.
Yeah.
We're police officers. We're not trained to handle this kind of violence.
That's what it was. I like that line too. So also he's looking on this thing and he goes into the system. He's typing all this stuff and it keeps coming up with Edgar Friendly. And I was like, who the fuck is Edgar Friendly? Which we learn about later.
Right.
So they did that in a really, the story of this, there are some definite plot holes, but the story, goes through and it answers some of your questions later, which is great.
I don't think there's really any plot holes as much as there is kind of logic issues. That I'll get into it later, but I think the plot, it doesn't necessarily have holes. It's just some of the logic, you'd be like, that you wouldn't do that if you were this person, or you wouldn't. That doesn't make any sense because then you could just do that. Or
I feel like that's
I'm being very ambiguous right now.
Yeah.
But anyway, they have the great idea to thaw out John Spartan because the leader of this utopia, who's also the creator, his name is Dr. Cocteau, I believe.
Yes, Cocteau.
Yeah, he gives the police full authority to do whatever they have to do to apprehend Phoenix. Mm-hmm. So they're like, let's get the toughest cop that we can find.
In our cryo.
Yeah, not just in cryo, because it's been this utopia for so long. Mm-hmm. It's who can we get?
Yeah.
And they get John Spartan.
Yeah, so they defrost him, which doesn't take much time.
No.
And they, this part also, I can't remember exactly what happens. I don't know how, the setup of the storyline of when they defrost him to him coming in and,
well, they unthaw him, and then Lenina Huxley meets him there, and then like the police chief who wears those round glasses, and he's like, they have to, basically brief him and be like, oh, it's 2036, and he's like, I've been locked away that long, or I've been frozen that long, not locked away. And then he asks for a cigarette, and they're like, that's illegal.
Yeah.
And he's like, I had a wife, and she's like, your wife died in
the big one.
The big one. And then he's like, what about my daughter? And then he gets interrupted by the police chief, but I forget what the police chief says.
But also, he says something about like how he was experienced, like being frozen and seeing my wife push her face up to the glass
beat her fist on a hunk of glass that used to be her husband. Hunk of glass.
Hunk of
ice that used to be her husband.
Yeah. And then Sandra Bullock's character goes like, I thought they were unconscious. I didn't think they knew what was going on around them.
Right.
So it shows you that they did it unethically.
Yeah. There is
I mean, all of it's unethical, but
yeah, they did it. They kind of say a few times in the movie that being frozen isn't just a picnic, and he had thoughts and feelings and all that. And so they do hit on the fact that, it might not be ethical to freeze people and bring them back to life later.
Yeah. Also, whenever they unthawed him, I put in my notes.
You got to see his butt again?
No. Spartan is getting early release for his good behavior. Because they did let him out earlier than he was supposed to. Because I think it was like supposed to be like in 2040 something. He was supposed to come out or something.
Yeah, I don't remember what they said exactly, but there, as a condition of him helping them out, he'll be let out early.
Yeah. And then so they are talking about like, we have to find this Phoenix guy, and they look at cameras and stuff, and he goes, well, the only place he's going to go to is where they can find guns.
Right.
And he, everyone else is like, well, there's no guns. We don't have guns, except for at the museum.
You're skipping over some of the best stuff though. Like a lot of the stuff of Sylvester Stallone interacting with these new age people.
Yeah.
I don't really know. San Angelinos, I guess, is really funny because he's
constantly cussing.
Yeah, he's constantly cussing, but it's just also the fact that it's not the character, it's the actor, Sylvester Stallone. And they're saying all these weird things to him, and he goes to the bathroom at one point and comes out and he's like, you're out of toilet paper.
Oh, yeah, you have no toilet paper.
All you got is
and then
3 shells.
Yeah, Rob Schneider goes, he doesn't understand the 3 seashells.
He doesn't know how to use the 3 shells. And then he gives him a look and he's like scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's some stuff like that, and then he starts cursing and the thing gives him a ticket.
Yeah, it's like, you've been fined 1 credit.
Yeah, oh my god. Did I look at you when that happened? You know this, right?
No.
That I hate it whenever a futuristic movie just calls money a credit.
Yeah.
It's so fucking lazy. Just name the goddamn money. You can call it whatever you want. You can call
just not a credit.
You could call it shit tokens. I don't care. Don't call it a credit. It's so lazy. So then he says, they're going to go, he's going to go find a gun. And they're like, don't be crazy. The only place you can find a gun is in a museum.
And so they go to the museum.
Yes. But before that, Sylvester Stallone goes up to a machine and curses at it a bunch. And he holds all the tickets up and he goes, I'll be in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Or I'll be right back or something.
Yeah. He says something about going to the bathroom again.
Yeah. And that
because he just came out and he was like, where's all the toilet paper?
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, you don't know how to use 3 shells? And then like they start talking and then he goes up to the machine, starts cussing and grabs them all.
Yeah.
And so it's just right after he just came out of the bathroom. So he has shit on his ass.
I was just about to say this. He's been walking around with a shitty asshole this whole time.
So gross. I wish he would have walked out funnier though, because
he's like tugging at the back of his pants every once in a while.
That's so unsanitary. I also wondering what those seashells are.
Yeah. Oh, I'll tell you later how you're supposed to use them.
Oh.
I actually found something.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So they go to the museum to head off Wesley Snipes, but Wesley Snipes beats them there first, and he's trying to figure out how to get
all these guns.
Yeah, he's trying to figure out how to get these weapons, and he ends up throwing a security guard through it or something. Or
I don't remember.
Somebody who works at the museum.
Yeah, he throws them into the case to bust open.
Yeah, and he said he has some weird future talk too. He's like, "How can I help you, friend?"
Yeah,
and he's like, "Yeah, you can help me," and he throws them through.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he grabs some older, like some guns that were popular probably in the 90s. And he goes, wait, I'm in the future. I could have some future guns. And then he starts blowing every single case down to try to find more futuristic guns. And he finds like a laser gun.
Yeah. He finds a laser gun that has to charge, which is a fun little plot piece.
And he keeps being like, this motherfucking gun won't charge.
Yeah, but when it does charge, there's going to be a big explosion. So.
Yeah.
The viewer, builds up some anticipation. That's a lot of fun. And then Sylvester Stallone shows up, and he makes the other two officers walk outside.
Stay outside, yeah.
Stay outside, because it's much more fun to see mano-a-mano with these two guys. And they
also don't know how to fight anyway, so it could have been funny to see them trying to be like, what do we do?
Yeah, it could have been funny. But this, it's an action movie, so they want to get some real good action set pieces in there. And this is definitely one of them. It's a lot of fun. It's old-fashioned, no CG, throwing fists, jumping off of things, hitting each other. And then at one point, there's water on...
They're standing on... So they're standing on top of this glass thing, and it shows underneath you from the earthquake. And there's a car down there and some water and some other things like that. And
yeah, that's right. It was an earthquake exhibit.
Yeah, Sylvester Stallone. He comes from behind Wesley Snipes, who's hiding behind something, and he sees a chandelier. And he shoots the chandelier down and breaks the glass, and he falls down into the pit, where that's where they keep fighting at.
Yeah, that's
on top of the car.
Yeah, they're fighting all over that set of the earthquake, and then Stallone has the little shock stick, and he gets on a car and sticks it in the water.
While Wesley Snipes is standing in it.
Yeah.
So it shocks him a little bit, and he jumps up on the car.
Snipes gets away, but I don't remember how exactly.
Me either.
But anyway, he does escape, and then on his way out, he comes across Dr. Cocteau.
I think he climbs out, and then he goes through the roof.
Yeah, could have been.
The roof is floor level.
Yeah, it
was odd.
Yeah.
I think it was on a mountain, a hill or something.
Yeah, it probably was. I mean, we don't have stuff like that here.
And then the person that created the place is walking past, and Wesley Snipes comes up and tries to shoot him, but he doesn't. He can't shoot him.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the guy who plays his assistant in this is great. I loved
that character too.
And I love how he was so supportive of whoever he's with, but the minute they get knocked off, he's trying to find the next most powerful person. But he has great hair, and also something.
The costumes are very reminiscent of kimonos.
Yes, which I thought I was going to bring up. There's a lot of Japanese/Asian cultural appropriation in this movie, which I thought they could have done without. They could have come up with some.
They could have Yeah, I was about to say they could have made the costumes more futuristic without going Asian.
Yeah, truly. So Snipes wants to kill him but can't, and he doesn't understand why. And then Cocteau says, hey, there's somebody else you need to be thinking about killing.
And then he goes, Edgar Friendly. Who is this guy? He's he doesn't tell him who he is, though.
No, he doesn't. But because it's all been programmed in there.
Yeah.
Which we'll find out more about later. But then Stallone comes up on him and scares him away. And then Dr. Cocteau is like, oh, thanks for saving my life. I'd like to have dinner with you and your partner at Taco Bell.
Yes, and whenever this happened, she was Sandra Bullock was like, oh, Taco Bell. And
Stallone's very confused.
Yeah, he's like, why is he wanting me to go to fucking Taco Bell? Like, Taco Bell's shitty.
Aaron, you just cursed. You gotta pay 1 credit now.
That will be 1 credit.
You just said fucking Taco Bell. Oh. Now the curse machine's got me too.
So they are getting ready to go to Taco Bell.
Yeah, they're driving out there. I think.
Yeah, and then they go there, and it's like this nice fancy restaurant. And
yeah,
there's like sushi or something, and then he finds out
it's like very high end food.
He finds out that that Taco Bell. She tells him that Taco Bell is the
only restaurant that survived the corporate war.
Yeah, something like that. So every restaurant is Taco Bell, even shitty restaurants, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I guess. I would love for them to play that out more. Obviously, Taco Bell had to agree to be in this movie.
Yeah.
But I remember I was a kid. My sister loved Taco Bell, so we were there fairly often. Mm-hmm. But I remember I got the Demolition Man poster when we were at Taco Bell.
Oh, really?
It was hanging up in my room for years. So anyway, they're there, and they're hitting they're playing the game that they've been playing, ringing that bell of like the new age people being appalled by Stallone's behavior and what he says. Mm-hmm. And he says, "Oh, this," and I do like Stallone's acting in this moment too. Mm-hmm. I thought he did a pretty good job of saying like, "Well, I was having a 36-year nightmare, reliving like all this stuff." And you remember that part? Mm-mm. No. Well, he was just saying what it was like being frozen. And I was like, wow, that was pretty good acting there for Stallone. He's not known for being a great actor.
Yeah.
And then one woman's like, what would you say if I called you a Neanderthal heathen or something? He goes, mm-hmm. Oh, no, thank you.
Like you didn't know what that was before in the 90s? Like people didn't know what Neanderthals were?
Yeah, or I just thought it was funny that the lady thought she was going to slam him by calling him a Neanderthal. And it's like, well, yeah, compared to you, I am.
Yeah. Also, they say something about Arnold Schwarzenegger being the president.
Oh, yes.
Also, I love, because I was like, wait, he was a senator.
No, he was the governor of California.
Governor of California.
Yeah,
I thought that was so funny.
It was funny, like, he's like, because him and Stallone had a rivalry going on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just throughout their careers, because they
had similar movies.
Yeah, they're both action stars. They're both muscle men. And they would trade off having, like, big hit movies with each other. Mm-hmm. And so it was funny for them to shoehorn it in there, some real stuff. And he's like, what? He was the president? Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, people like him so much. So the 61st Amendment of the Constitution. And he goes, stop. I don't even want to know. So then, did you notice Sandra Bullock's dress?
Yes, it was like all like gems.
Yeah.
It was cool.
You thought it was cool?
I liked it.
I thought it was awful looking.
I mean, it's ugly, but it's cool.
Right. It looked like one of those stepping stones.
Oh, yeah. It was like chainmail, but like with stones in it.
Yeah. I read that the dress was falling apart because they just glued a bunch of stones onto this dress.
Oh.
And like you can actually see her like her arms pinned up against the side in one scene because it's going to fall off of her.
Yeah, so then they leave and it's about to be like she takes him to his new place. Oh,
before that, remember the underground people show up.
Oh yeah, they do. So like these underground people pop up, which we've seen them earlier in this film, like pop their heads out and spray paint something, and then something else came and wiped it off.
Yeah, so there's been a few little hints of these guys earlier in the movie. But so Stallone runs out there and starts beating them all up, and everybody's coming out to watch. And then he finds one of them like drop some food.
Yeah,
and he's like, "This is sort of his Save the Cat movie, Save the Cat moment." A little bit too late in the movie, but he's like, "Look, they're just trying to get something to eat," and he's like, "Hurt."
The guy literally goes, "Please don't hurt me."
Yes, that's right, and he says to Lenina, he says, hurting people isn't a good thing. Well, sometimes it is.
And then, but he was like, why didn't you stop them? And he was like, I'm not going to stop people from wanting food. Like, I'm not going to prevent hungry people from getting food.
Right. Yeah.
Which was like a good, aw.
Which, yeah, it made me think about, like, you know, a lot of places, including Houston, where we live, are having a lot of issues with homelessness or unhoused people. And they're like, the city is always coming up with the ways like, oh, we don't want them sleeping in certain areas, or like designing structures to where it's hard for them to sleep. It's like, why would you do something like that? These people aren't doing anything wrong, but trying to survive.
Yeah.
You know, it really bugs me, things like that. But it made me think about that in this scenario. I was like, why would you stop a hungry person from eating?
Yeah.
So anyway.
So then they go back to this, her house, and on the car ride there, he's talking about how he was like, yeah, my wife, and I had a daughter, and I think about where my daughter would be at right now. And I literally thought, Sandra Bullock's his daughter.
You thought that?
Yes, which made the next scene way more uncomfortable for me. Because this whole time I was like, she's his daughter. She's his daughter.
Yeah. It turns out, like, you really do at that point, you think, is this going to be like Old Boy?
I don't know.
Oh, you've never seen that movie, of course. It's a Korean movie where this guy, you know what? I'm not going to tell you because we're going to watch it.
Okay. Also, like, but then I think about it and I was like, that doesn't logically make sense, because if she was his daughter in 96, it's 1932.
Right. She would have been
40 something.
Yeah, she would have been well into her 40s.
Which Sandra Bullock's in her 20s. So
no, I am willing to bet that an early draft of the script, that was his daughter.
Yeah.
But then later they're like, no, this is an action movie. It's much better for her to be a love interest.
Yeah, and they gotta have sex.
Yeah, even though they never have real sex.
Yeah. In the movie.
In the movie.
Yeah. So I was like, he kept talking about his daughter and his ex-wife. And I was just, the whole time I was just like, I bet she's his daughter. And then they go to her house, her like little penthouse, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's like full of 90s stuff.
Yeah. But you just assume like they live in these big buildings of like loft apartments.
Yeah.
That you kind of get that idea from it. And she's just very blunt with him. It's like, would you like to have sex?
Well, yeah. She says, would you like to, commence what is it called, intercourse or something like, she says it very properly.
Yeah, she says it like you would expect somebody from that time to say it, like they've been set up for the whole movie. But he's like, yeah, okay, let's do it.
You talking about sex?
You talking sex?
Baby.
So she goes and gets these helmets and puts them on.
She goes, let me get a little comfortable. And he's like, okay, let me check my breath. Let me see how everything is.
He checks his breath. And she puts the headset on both of them, and he doesn't know what to do.
And they sit in this recessed area of her apartment.
Right. And it's sort of like there's little flashes, and like it doesn't look good. I'm sorry, but this is
that scene was not.
Yeah,
they could have done it so many different ways and could have done really cool stuff with it.
Yeah, and the same, it just looks bad. It looks like the worst '90s music video, but only like sudden flashes of it.
Yeah.
So he takes the helmet off, and she goes, "You broke contact." And he's like, "Well, what is it?" He's like, "I haven't even touched you yet."
Yeah. And she goes, well, this is how people, he's like, well, he asked like, you don't have sex, or like, you don't do bone? You don't do the boning? Or what does he say?
Well, first she's like, he goes, "Can we just do it the old fashioned way?" And she's like, "What? Look, fluid transfer?"
Yes.
Which when you say it like that, makes sex sound
so
disgusting.
Fluid transfer?
I love anytime like you can say something in a disgusting way without using like
a disgusting term.
Yeah, like a curse word or something like that. I always love that. That sounded so gross.
Yeah.
And then he says, boning, the wild mambo, the hunka chunka.
And I was like, who calls sex the hunka chunka? That is the most. No one says that.
Yeah, I was actually waiting for that part to come up just to see if you wrote that down.
Yeah, I put
Yeah.
Hunka Chunka.
Yeah, because you know that podcast I listen to, Action Boys?
Yeah.
They covered this movie, and that came up, and they have been referencing that for like 2 years now.
Oh my God.
They're constantly bringing up the Hunka Chunka. So I was waiting to see if you even wrote that down.
I definitely wrote that down.
Yeah. And then she has a speech about like AIDS becoming, you know, there's all these different really bad sexually transmitted viruses.
Yeah.
Viruses. And then he tries to kiss her and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "I'm breaking the law."
Yeah. But she also tells him, like, he goes, "How do you make babies?" And she goes, "Well, you go into a lab and then you
yes.
have to, it's like properly done. Like they do like all these like procedures and stuff so that you can have a baby." Because also earlier in the movie, she goes, when she says smoking is illegal, so is abortion, but so is having a baby illegally.
Yeah, and also she says like contact sports are illegal. Like she says a lot of stuff. I wish they would hit on like this part. They had an opportunity to make this perfect world bleak in a way, and they completely turned away from it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking. That's kind of what I was saying earlier. Was just like they could have done a better job of saying like this perfect utopia is not perfect as you think, but they sort of just waxed.
There's no
over it.
joy.
Yeah,
There's no happy joy.
Yeah, which in the movie there is. These people are happy.
Yeah.
So I think that's the big part of the movie that they screwed up. Mm-hmm. So he tries to kiss her and she kicks him out. And good on him, he leaves.
Yes.
He takes the hint and he leaves. And he doesn't even get mad.
For real. I was like, good job, Stallone.
Yeah. Hey, if you're a guy out there and you get shut down, you just got to go.
You just got to go. Because other than that, that's rape.
Rape or sexual assault.
Yep.
So he goes back to his domicile, which is, I believe, what they called it. And he just starts getting out a bunch of knitting stuff, and he starts.
Yeah, and he starts knitting all this stuff. Also, he winds up the yarn like a extension cord. Like he wraps it around his arm. I'm like, nobody does that. Like, what? You just pull it from the spool.
Yeah, I think.
I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, it was. But if that's me doing that, because I don't know how to knit either, and I was doing that scene, I'd just be like, I just got to make some movements that make it look confident. Like I know exactly what.
He did look confident for sure. But he could have asked someone like, hey, like, even like doing basics, like the first part of knitting is you start with a knot. So he could have like taken it out, pulled a little piece, started a knot, and like got his knitting needle out, and that would have looked very convincing.
Right.
Like he knew what he was doing.
Because there's a bunch of knit heads going to see Demolition Man opening weekend.
I'm not saying people that.
I know, I'm just joking. Yeah, I'm just saying like all the knit heads were there opening day, like in the theater, just.
That's not how you knit. Okay.
I'm walking out of this place. And then we get the only boob shot in the whole movie. Some woman accidentally dials the wrong phone number, and she's just getting out of the shower.
And she goes, "Oh,
sorry, wrong number."
She was doing that on purpose.
Yeah, probably.
That hooker. That's illegal.
Oh, you know what? She probably heard somebody say the hunka chunka. I was like, you know what?
Let me call my hunka chunka.
So it's the next day, and they meet up again, and Sylvester Stallone gives her a...
something he knitted.
Yeah, it was a sweater, I think.
Something. It was big. I was like, that was not... You're not able to knit that. And, like, that takes hours or a day or two of constant knitting.
Yeah, knitting a sweater would take forever. You could not do that in one night. But then again, it's like... this movie is not going to be seen by a bunch of knit heads. It's just to illustrate that, like, well, he's really good at knitting.
Yes,
you know? Yes. Which, when I was a kid and I saw this, I was like, wow, he did that the whole night.
So, also, something that starts at this point is when Sandra Bullock starts using all these, like, 90s catchphrases.
Oh,
but using them wrong. I liked that. I thought it was a cute little touch.
Yeah, it was. I forgot the one that she said. I should have wrote it down. But right after they think they save Dr. Cocteau, she says, "He's finally met his meat. you really licked his ass.
Yeah, you really licked his ass.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's a what do they call that? I want to say a rolling joke, but that's not what they call that.
I don't know.
Who cares what they call it?
But I thought the catchphrases were really funny.
Yeah.
So then after that, you learn that what is the designer guy? The guy that made the town?
Oh, Dr. Cocteau.
Yeah. You find out that he made Phoenix awaken and put all this computer information or all this data information in so that he could kill Edgar Friendly.
Right. You find out that the reason Sylvester Stallone can knit all of a sudden is because they can program them while they're frozen to help rehabilitate them.
Mm-hmm.
So they each learn a skill, and they look up Wesley Snipes, and it turns out like he knows karate and how to speak languages and like different weapons stuff. And they're like, why is this going on?
So after that, he goes up to the guy and he's like at his house or something. And he's like, why can't I shoot you? And he's like, I've programmed you to not shoot me.
Right.
And, then, he is like trying to figure out who this Friendly guy is. And he goes underground.
Right.
To where all of the underground dwellers are.
Yeah, but I think Cocteau explicitly spells it out for him. It's like, I need you to kill this guy.
And he's like, oh, okay, I can do that.
Right.
But he doesn't want to follow his instructions because he wants to do his own thing.
Right.
Which backfires.
Yeah, because he's a psychopathic criminal.
Mm-hmm.
So he wants to do his own thing.
Yep.
And he builds like a gang.
Yeah, which he says in this, like he goes underground and he like builds up this group of people that were working with Friendly. And he says, Spartan is the guy that put us all away. And I was like, wait, are all of those people that were unfrozen?
Yeah, he talked Dr. Cocteau into letting him unfreeze people.
Not yet.
Not yet.
It was like right after that scene, he went down to the first floor and to the underground and was like, Spartan is the reason that we're like this, and everyone's like, yeah, and like he hadn't gone to unfreeze people yet.
Oh, okay, so that is kind of a plot hole.
Yeah,
you're right. I was kind of wondering when we were watching it. I was like, where did he get that gang from just yet? And it also seems like they are 2 rooms over from the underground people.
Yeah. Because I wrote, wait, all these people are victims with quotation marks of John Spartan and is why they are in the freezer, or did Phoenix release them? So I was like, wait, what is happening? So maybe like they filmed that and then they put it in the wrong spot or something. I don't know. Because he did ask if he could unfreeze people after that. He was like, he went up to them and was like, I want to, I'll do it if I can unfreeze people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because he goes back there after he's got a little bit more firepower. He goes back to Dr. Cocteau to... Yeah, that's the illuminate, deilluminate scene. And then, so Sylvester Stallone figures out about this Friendly guy, and they go down into the sewers or the underground area too.
Where he's like, it smells so good.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, the other 2 cops are about to throw up. And he goes up to this person and is like, I would like a burger. And she starts cooking it and he eats it.
It's a Spanish speaking woman too.
Yeah. And he's like, this is the best burger I've ever had. And she goes, thank you. And he goes, what kind of meat is it? And Sandra Bullock's like, you don't want to know. No,
Sandra Bullock says, she's like, what kind of meat is it? Do you see any cows around here?
Yeah. And he goes, no. And he asks her what the meat is.
Yeah.
And she says, rat.
Yeah. Rata. Yeah. And then he's kind of put off by it, but also at the same time, it's like, I'm not going to not eat this burger.
Yeah, I'm hungry. I want a burger.
Yeah, so somehow they find Edgar Friendly, and they talk to him. It turns out he's not a villain.
Yeah,
He's just
for the people.
Yeah, and he even says like, "I'm not a leader. I'm just trying to do what's right, and I'm trying to live my life free and not be controlled by people."
Yeah,
and Dennis Leary has a really good little like monologue where he says, "I want to read a Playboy magazine, and I want to run down the street covered in jelly, naked." Like he goes off on like, do you remember that?
No.
He goes off on this little tyrant, and it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "I've seen the future. It's a fat guy sitting in his mother's basement singing, 'I want to be an Oscar Mayer reader,'" or something. Because we haven't mentioned it yet, but they said
the whole time, like, well, not the whole time, but there were like 2 scenes where they start playing things on the radio and they're like, "Put the 90s on," and it's not 90s music. It's 90s
commercial jingles. Yeah, it's all jingles. And they were singing like the Armour hot dogs one or something.
Yeah, I didn't know Armour's hot dogs was a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, they're singing one of them, and then they show Stallone in the back seat of the car, and he goes, "Put me back in the fridge." So they find Edgar Friendly, and they're like, "We got to keep you safe because someone's coming to kill you." And then 1 whole minute later, Wesley Snipes busts in with his gang and tries to kill him, and they have to escape with him.
Yes, which they do escape. And Wesley Snipes then goes to Cocteau.
Yeah, Cocteau. I don't know. I have such a hard time remembering it. He's the savior,
Cocteau. Penis phalange.
Penis toe.
So he goes back to Cocteau and he's like, "You can't kill me," because he had like a gun pulled to him or something. And he goes, "I know, I can't." And then one of his henchmen shoots him and kills him.
Right. Yeah. He says, "Can you kill this guy for me?"
Yeah. And then they throw Cocteau into the fire. That was the funniest.
Yeah, that
throw
dummy.
into the dummy was really funny.
Have you ever worked with a dummy before?
No.
No, they are so weird and awkward. I remember in the Army doing like first aid stuff. Yeah. And they would have a dummy. They're like heavy, but in the way that like bodies aren't heavy, and they would be in weird positions, and you'd like try to carry one, and it's just weird, man. Working with dummies is weird. So is that after the part where there's a car chase? Remember they find
it's before.
They find an Oldsmobile 422, which is an old
underground. Yeah. Right after they start shooting at them, they get in the Oldsmobile and they leave. Which, how did they get out?
It's kind of weird. It doesn't make any sense, but there's like a big elevator and it breaks through the ground.
Yeah. I remember that.
And I wanted to mention, I'm mechanic, so I notice car stuff. It was an Oldsmobile dealership, and they were selling like all these futuristic looking Oldsmobiles, and then through the ground pops up this old muscle car.
Oldsmobile.
Yeah, Oldsmobile, and then drives out. I was like, that's so cool. I remember my dad had a couple Oldsmobiles growing up, and they were garbage.
So yeah, he kills them and he takes over, and he's like, "I'm gonna run this shit."
Yeah. Which was what happened. That's like one of the things to me, like Dr. Cocteau is supposed to be this brilliant man who built this utopia, and he thought, "Oh, you know how I'll solve this little problem? I'll get a psychopathic criminal who destroyed LA the first time."
Yeah. And program him not to be different, but to be more dangerous.
Yeah, make him more dangerous, but since he can't kill me, I'll have control. I was like, you had to be smarter than that.
Yeah.
You could have killed that guy underground. You didn't need
For real.
But I guess he was just so focused on creating this utopia that he just was like, I got to get rid of this guy. He's making me look bad. So he lost his life.
Unfortunate.
Did his assistant go to Wesley Snipes and be like, "Hey, I can work for you"?
It wasn't until a little bit later. So he kind of ran out, and then he came back and was like, "So, what's up, Doc?"
I'm a Bugs Bunny now.
But he was like, "Hey, like I can help you out." And it was right before, like, they were about to go to the cryo prison to let the people out.
Right.
Which doesn't make sense with the
Yeah.
earlier. So, like, they go to release people from the cryo prison, and he goes there, and Stallone was like, he's going to go to the cryo prison and let everyone out. And all those people hate me.
Right. Yeah, so they go to the cryo prison, and they get in there.
Well,
and
before he does get to the cryo prison, there's like this car chase, but I don't know who's chasing him.
Well, that was when they just got out of the underground place before he kills Cocteau.
Yeah, but he runs into a fountain, and then it fills with foam.
Yeah, that's right. The New Age car fills with foam. It's kind of like, I think it was supposed to be like a play on airbags.
Yeah, I like that. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, I liked it too. And he says, like, I was wrapped up in there like a cannoli or something.
But then what happens? They go to the cryo place, and stuff starts happening. I don't know what starts happening, but things start happening. They start fighting.
Yeah, they go to the cryo prison and they fight, and Sandra Bullock gets to kick some ass, which was fun to see. Mm-hmm. And but then he's like, "This is between me and him," and he zaps her with the thing that makes you pass out, which they set up earlier in the movie. And he goes in the cryo prison. Now, this is the point where I say, like, the sets start to not look so good in this part. The cryo prison part didn't look great. It looked very small, like they were operating out of But the one thing that really stuck out to me about that, where he's like, Wesley Snipes was like, Jeffrey Dahmer? I love that guy.
Yes.
Which Jeffrey Dahmer was, I think he was captured in 91 and then on trial in 92. So this is like right on the heels of that. Mm-hmm. And also, I also like to think of like what Jeffrey Dahmer would be like if he was in Wesley Snipes' gang. Wesley Snipes would be like, "Where's Dahmer at?" And then like Jeff is like over in the corner, like drunk, because Jeffrey Dahmer was an alcoholic. And he was like, "Oh, hey, I just got off my shift at the chocolate factory. You want to go back to my place and watch The Exorcist 3?
Is that what he would do?
Yeah, he would take people to his apartment to watch Exorcist 3.
Oh.
But he would be, if he was in a gang, he wouldn't be good. He would just be drunk all the time and trying to hit on people so he could go take them back to his apartment. Anyway.
Try to make them his slave.
Yeah, his sex zombie.
Sex zombie. Sex zombie. Sex zombie. Gross.
I know what he wants.
He wants sex.
So they fight in the cryo prison.
Also, the way people die in this movie is hilarious.
What do you mean?
Just like the over dramatic dying that they do.
Uh-huh.
It's a lot, and it's funny to watch.
Okay. So they're fighting in the cryo prison, and hand-to-hand stuff, your typical fight scene. Mm-hmm. But he finds a way. He does the same thing he did with the car in the little shock.
But
thing.
Wesley, okay, so Wesley Snipe grabs him with one of the arms to put him back in the thing.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And he sees the little cords above that I guess have the freezing stuff in it, and so he starts pulling at it, and he freezes the thing he's in, and it breaks.
Yeah, he freezes one of the claws.
And then he takes that and freezes, I guess, the floor?
Yeah, but he does it the same way he does the car. Mm-hmm. He jumps on the car and shocked him. This time he jumped on something and froze him. And then he grabs the swinging claw and kicks him in the head, and he shatters into pieces.
I love the way he shattered, too.
It looked really cool. And I like that they're like, well, he's got to have some blood, so some of the ice is all red. But it's Terminator 2 had just come out 2 years before, and there's that whole scene at the end where they freeze the T-1000, and then you've seen that movie. We watched it together. Okay, but just take my word for that. This happened. He gets frozen because he's liquid metal. He gets frozen at the end in some I don't remember what the chemical was. But then Schwarzenegger shoots him, and he shatters into a bunch of pieces. Oh. So they're just like, oh, let's do the same thing, but he'll be frozen from cryo prison. Or
Oh, okay.
But it was clearly that they just ripped that off. They just wanted to do that again.
Yeah. And then he gets out of the building and then they kiss.
Yes, he is reunited, and he says, like, you guys got to figure out, like, you, Edgar Friendly, and you,
Yeah.
who was the new guy? I don't know. But anyway, he's like, you guys need to find some
the
middle
chief,
ground.
maybe?
Yeah, I think it was the chief
Yeah.
with the round glasses and the bald head. But he's like, you guys got to meet somewhere in the middle because we got to work this out. It has to be inclusive.
Yeah.
Right? And then he kisses Lenina Huxley, and he's like, are all fluid transfers that good?
Yeah.
And he goes, better.
Yep.
So, and then the credits roll, and you can see them boning in the background.
Oh.
Doing a hunk of chunk. No, that's the end of the movie. I do wish there was a little epilogue in this movie of like Sylvester Stallone and Sandra Bullock are together, but they're not cops anymore. They just run a
tailoring company.
Yes, a tailoring company where he knits and they sell his knitted goods. I think that would have been a fun little tag at the end.
Also, but they say he's a seamstress, not that he's a knitter.
Do they?
Yeah. He's like, we install tailor, or you're a tailor or something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought that would have been a better ending. Just to have that little tag at the end. So, Aaron, I want to get your no bullshit assessment. What did you think of Demolition Man?
I thought it was a fun movie. Would I watch it again? Maybe. I might. But I'm not going to be like, I got to watch this show. Let's watch it again. I'm really not like that with any movie though. Like I'm going to watch this all again. I'm going to watch it over and over and over again.
No, you're not.
So I would say, I think it's a fun movie. If you like action movies, this is a fun movie for you. Especially if you're not like super worried about like semantics of like writing, like the little plot holes are fine. The costumes fit somewhat. The scenic is pretty good. Lights, sound. It's a fun movie to watch. So I liked it. Yeah,
it's a big budget popcorn movie from the 90s, and it's just fun to watch. You know, and it doesn't take itself too seriously.
No.
But it's also not trying to be a comedy, and you can forgive the little plot holes in it enough because it's exciting. And I think Stallone and Wesley Snipes are bringing a lot to the table. This movie works because of them. And then also Sandra Bullock too. I love Sandra Bullock.
Mm-hmm. I think she's a great actress.
Yeah, and this was earlier in her career. This was around the time that Speed came out too. You remember the Speed, the bus that can slow down movie?
Oh yeah.
She was in that. In these two movies, I watched over and over again when I was a kid. So I love Sandra Bullock, and I like to see her in anything.
Yeah, me too.
And I think she was really good as like the angel on his shoulder character, right? So, yeah, there it is. Yeah. Demolition Man, 1993.
Woo!
So I think we have a segment.
Yes, which I was thinking of this idea. I just don't know how well it will work. So,
we're doing F, Marry, Kill.
We are doing F, Marry, Kill. But the people I was going to choose, I feel like... So the reason I was going to do... This is what I was going to do. We were going to do Fuck, Marry, Kill... Juliet's of Romeo and Juliet movies, because recently came out that the teenager, well, they're not teenagers anymore. In the 66 or 67 movie, there was child nudity, and they are now suing many years later over this, which they should have absolutely done that.
The actors at the time of filming were under the age of 18, and therefore that was illegal.
Yes. So it's a topic that they should be suing. Absolutely. It is very late to sue, but it should have been done nonetheless.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of the reasons for statute of limitations is just after so many years, there's not going to be enough evidence.
Yeah.
But the movie got made and exists. The evidence is all there.
Yeah,
so.
it's all there. So it's not gonna just go away.
Yeah.
So that's what I originally was gonna do, but I feel like you don't really know those characters.
I don't know those characters, and I don't want to think about fucking or marrying.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing, is that they're children. They're supposed to be 14. So I thought that was inappropriate, but I would just wanted to talk about that topic. Okay. I think that's very interesting.
All right, so that's been You Haven't Seen It. We'll see you next week.
We can also cut all of that out. So FMK, Fuck, Marry, Kill. Your people for Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Okay.
Your first one is Sandra Bullock in Demolition Man.
Perfect.
Second one is Drew Barrymore in Scream.
Okay.
Which she was an adult in that.
Yeah, the actor Drew Barrymore was an adult, but she might have been depicting a high school student.
Oh.
It's fine.
They were all high school students.
Yeah, but they were all obviously
they were adults.
30 years old.
And then what was that other movie I was thinking of? Oh, what is the woman in Terminator?
Oh, Linda Hamilton?
Wasn't she also Tomb Raider?
No. That was Angelina Jolie.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do Angelina Jolie and Tomb Raider.
Oh, great. Okay, so I'm not an Angelina Jolie fan, so we're just going to go ahead and kill her.
Okay.
And then we have Sandra Bullock and...
Miss Congeniality. No. In Demolition Man.
Her character from Demolition Man?
Yes.
And then, who was the other one? Drew Barrymore?
Drew Barrymore's character.
Okay, well, I'm gonna fuck Drew Barrymore because her character in that movie is like, she's like a blonde, bubbly type who would date a football star or something like that. So I'm not into that. Nothing wrong with that, but that's just not me. So one and done. Mm-hmm. That's what the fuck part is, right?
Yeah.
Is you just do it one time. So, yeah, that's cool. Drew Barrymore is very beautiful too, so no problems there. Sandra Bullock, I love Sandy Bullock. She's a great actor. In that movie, she's kind of a dork, but I'm totally into dorks. And she's also a brunette, which I'm also into. And she's a cop, but she's one of those sissy cops in the movie. So
that you liked.
Yeah. So I'm totally going to marry her, and we're going to sit around and we're going to watch Lethal Weapon 2. She probably likes a lot of movies that you wouldn't want to watch with me.
Probably.
So, yeah.
She's into the 90s.
So, yeah.
Which is when a lot of your favorite movies came out.
Yeah, I'm a 90s kid. That's when I was going to the movies all the time. So I'm going to marry Lenina Huxley.
Perfect. That was Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Yep.
Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Ooh, baby. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. What's the movie that we're going to be covering next week?
Our next movie that we will be covering.
She has to look that up. While she's doing that, please email us at joeyanderinpod. Nobody is emailing us. What do we do to have to offend you enough to get you to write in and tell us something like we're being racist or sexist or assholes or whatever? Come on.
Maybe the Romeo and Juliet thing will get people to message us.
Oh, maybe. But yeah, write in. Even if you want to just talk about a movie and try to get us to watch it and talk about it. I mean, we might have already seen it, but you can. You looking? What you got?
Moonlight.
Ah, yes. So next month is Black History Month, so we're gonna do a couple of movies to highlight Black filmmakers.
Is that the
Black
movie that we're
stories.
doing for?
But it's still gonna be January.
That's January.
Yeah,
What is Eternals? Oh, wait, hold on. No.
that's
Wait.
gonna be for Valentine's Day. It's okay. Look, we don't have to do. It's gonna come out in January. So what? We're gonna try to cover Black movies outside of Black History.
Yeah, I
Month.
mean, we did Friday.
Yeah, and we want to do that. We want to highlight all different types of voices in filmmaking.
Yeah, we're also going to be doing, I don't know if we should tell them a couple of the movies that we're going to be doing in the future.
No, I just want to reveal like the very next one.
Okay. Well,
anyway.
we're doing Moonlight.
Yeah, we want to do all kind of voices on this show. It really sucks talking about film because you look back at so many great films and it's like the entire cast was white guys, the director was a white guy, the producer was a white guy. We want to talk about movies that from women directors, women perspectives, cast women, Black people, Hispanic people. We want to do all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for us. This has been
You haven't seen it?